Welcome to the Serendipitous Rebel podcast. I'm Wendy.
And I'm Crystal. This podcast is for the adventure-loving, purpose-driven, action-minded, authentic, and rebellious entrepreneurs.
Just like us. And just like you, we are trying to figure shit out. So join us as we talk about business and life and everything in between. Hello, and welcome to the latest episode of Serendipitous Rebel. I'm Wendy, and I'm here with
Crystal.
You all don't know this, but we're actually in the same place, not in Maryland and not in Texas. We are in the great state of New Hampshire.
On a workcation this week.
Yes, very, very nice. We thought we would talk about a question that we get a lot. People say, you're a coach, you're a consultant, you're a whatever. What exactly does that mean? And what exactly do I need? I think it's a really interesting and a good question, and one that coaches especially are supposed to spend time going over with clients, usually in their initial intake. I guess I could kick off with what's a coach?
So give everybody the definition. Like, what is the difference between a coach and a consultant? Because
Sure.
I think people blur the lines. And I think the problem, and it's super, I think to both of us, is when consultants call themselves coaches.
Correct.
I think that it gets misrepresented. So define it for us. What is a coach by definition, and what is a consultant by definition?
Okay, sure. So a coach is someone who works with a client. It is a coactive relationship, meaning both the coach and the client work together to achieve the client's goals. It's very much the client does the work. A coach asks a lot of really deep questions. They lead the conversation, but ultimately the work is done by the client. Coaching experiences can be absolutely amazing. Heck, we have coaches. It can be I like to use the word meandering, because usually you have a goal that's set at the beginning of your work together, the beginning of the time you start working. Each session, the coach can say something like, so what would you like to work on today? You usually like to keep that within the realm of what your ultimate goal is, but a client can meander off. Coach will usually use their experience and sometimes their gut to steer the conversation.
Yeah, that makes sense. So what I hear is that a coach is somebody who asks questions, but it's really up to the client to give the answers.
Oh, yes, very much so.
And so the
Very
coach is not
much so.
there to give answers. The coach is there. And like you said, you're going to steer your conversations with some of your questioning. You're going to give some guidance, and it is going to be, you're going to rein it in a little bit as a coach. But hopefully a good coach can rein you in.
Yes.
But
yes.
I think that the bottom line is, for the coach, it is, and I love that you said, I love that definition, coactive relationship, because it's both of you working together towards the client defined goal. Consultant.
Okay. So, and I find this really interesting because my actual certification is as a certified business coach and consultant. So a consultant is someone who you hire for their expertise, because they have an understanding of whatever your problem is and can really guide you to a solution based on their own experience, is usually how it is. And especially for business coaches, it's hard not to give advice. Coaches don't give advice, or they're not supposed to. They're supposed to, I hear what you're saying. What do you think of? Or how do you, feel about this? That's a coach. Whereas a consultant can say, I would like to discuss a possible option for you, that sort of thing. Consultants tend to also be able to have programs that can steer outcomes more.
And I like that, because when we do, so Wendy and I provide coaching and consulting, and when we do our intake with clients, the intake maps out the expectations. It's your housekeeping stuff, but there's also a disclaimer that we put in there that says, we also will be providing some consultation along with this coaching agreement. Do you agree? Basically,
Yes.
Because we want there to be this clear definition at the very beginning of the relationship that, one, we recognize that there's a difference and that you are hiring us both to help you steer towards a goal, and also for our expertise, because you're a certified business coach and consultant. I'm a certified marketing consultant. And so we're taking our expertise, our ability. It's why I don't even like using the word marketing coach. I like marketing strategist as a title. But I think oftentimes we will hear people say, well, I'm a coach. And really they're a consultant.
Right. It's interesting because when you say coach, what immediately comes to mind? A sports coach.
Sports coach.
And a sports coach is going to spend as much time working on your backhand as on your mindset, assuming that you're going to a tennis coach. In the case of an ICF, and the ICF is the International Coaching Federation, you don't need a license to be a coach. You actually don't need credentials to be a coach. But if you were to go, I shouldn't say most, many coaches turn to the ICF as their governing body, as where they can go to, I'd say, up the game and also follow their standards and their code of ethics. So in that regard, it's not like a sports coach, because in theory, we're not assisting in teaching. We're not teachers. We are not teachers. We can be cheerleaders. We're not mentors, because a mentor would not be a coactive relationship. We question and we listen. So it's a very fulfilling and can experience, and can be very rewarding. It's also can be, can I be honest? Yeah, it can be a little frustrating, because a lot of times you are going to someone because you want their expertise. You want that little, well, I can offer you this tip or that sort of thing. So anyway, I think that we try to follow the proper ethical line and let the client know that if they so want. And I will admit, most clients are like, well, yeah.
Yeah. And I think what's important about defining the terms as well is that when you are looking to hire a coach,
very much so.
I think you can actually start searching for things with using better terminology. When you're interviewing coaches, you are armed with a little bit more information, because, like I said, a lot of people will use coach and consultant interchangeably. And I really hate that fact, because I think it's disingenuous and I think it's misleading in a lot of different ways. Because the thing to remember too, guys, is that when you think about a consultant, often consultants have their way of doing things. Like you said, it's their program, or they have their standard operating procedure. Even I, as a marketing strategist, I have my preferred systems, my preferred way of doing things, and my preferred way of taking clients through things. But when you hire people as a coach and they're not upfront about that fact, you think that you're going to get a more personalized service, when in reality, you're just buying their package and their program. And it's and the relationship ends up being less coactive and more my way or the highway.
Exactly.
And I have been in a coaching situation where that was really frustrating, where I thought I was getting business coaching. And what I was getting was a very cookie cutter answer that they were giving to everybody else in my industry, that if they really took the time to get to know me and my business the way a coach should, they would recognize that strategy is not going to work for my business. But if you can find somebody who is a hybrid, or who at least can acknowledge that there's a difference, and at least acknowledge that they're going to change hats. And even when I hired you as my coach, when I did Rebel Ready, it was a year ago already, my gosh, that you would actually, in our coaching calls, tell me, okay, I'm going to put on my other hat for a minute.
Correct.
And you would identify in the call and in the conversation, like, okay, this is where I'm going to put down the coaching hat. I'm going to give you my consulting, like, this is my advice. And I appreciated that there was an acknowledgement of a difference because it was less of me. It was you taking the reins away from me for like a slight minute in the conversation to say, no, you're steering your sleigh off the rails. I need you to like pull it back a little bit is really what it was. But I think that can be a really important and beneficial thing. Again, as long as there's acknowledgement that that's what's happening.
Right. Yeah. And one other thing that I thought of is that no one should ever say that they've actually walked in your shoes. It's one of those, it's also those things about saying, oh, I totally understand.
It's really just your coach projecting their stuff on you.
Well, and exactly. No one can ever say that they've ever walked a mile in anyone else's shoes. And I know for me, that's something that's actually off-putting because I'm like, yeah, you don't know me that well. And one of the things that when you're creating a coactive participatory relationship is there has to be mutual trust. Mm-hmm. And that is so important. There's so many different labels these days: mentor, advisor, consultant, coach, whatever. Yeah. I always advise take the time, hop on a call with someone. Just really try to get a feel for, do I have a relationship, or do I have a connection with this person? Or do we jive even for a short period of time? That generally builds, but you need to have something there to begin with.
I agree. And I also think it will deter, I think knowing what it is that you're getting out of the relationship, or you're getting a consulting relationship or a coaching relationship, I think one affects the pricing of the situation a little bit.
I think it depends. Yeah.
I know even when I've quoted clients, if they're looking strictly for a coach, I would quote them one way. But if they were looking for a consultant coach,
we should talk about that.
Well, I know that when I did this last quote for somebody, what she was looking for a strategist and a done with you coach. So it was a combination of strategy, consulting, and coaching. Well, that lends itself to a completely different package than what I would just do if I was just coaching somebody. Right. Because if I was just coaching somebody, it would be a lot of talking. From a consulting strategy relationship, I'm giving you my templates. I'm giving you my, I'm giving you the strategy, which is worth a lot. I'm giving you all of these other different things. And that again, and that is a big difference. And I think that people, when they're new to the industry or new to online business in general, they don't recognize that there's a difference. So when they go to hire a coach and then they tell a coach, I really want you to help me launch my product.
Right.
Well, that's a completely different, that's less of a coaching.
That is exactly right.
That's less of a coaching role. That is a consulting role.
That is exactly
And
right.
So the price point is different. And so I think a lot of people, when they balk at different coaches' price points or things like that, I think it's important to ask yourself, are you getting consulting out of this relationship? Or are you just getting coaching? Right. Not to say that coaching is not as valuable as consulting, because it absolutely can be.
It's it completely depends on what your needs are. That is why it's so important to have a conversation. It's, and a lot of people, when they go to look for a coach, they're not actually sure what it is. They don't necessarily know what they need, and they don't know what they don't know. I recommend having a conversation. Also, typically coaches, they package their things in different ways. It could be by the session, it could be by the month, but typically a true coach, and I'm not crazy about using that word true, my apologies, but as someone who follows, say, ICF and follows the International Coaching Federation, they would have, say, I think we need to work together for 3 months to achieve your goals. They're not saying you're actually going to achieve the goals. They're not saying, oh, you're going to complete my program. And I think that actually, So yes. Yeah. So, it's like, we are going to work together to get, for you to achieve whatever it is. If you're actually having someone say, hey, I'll walk you through my program, sure, they could be the cheerleading, but it's their program. And there's a different relationship. It's not that coactive relationship. They could be there to answer questions. They could be there to give you assignments. And that actually is a very different relationship. And it's a matter of, there are industry definitions, and then there are personal definitions. And I think it's just in terms of, as a buyer, you be, the buyer beware in terms of you ask the questions of what you're looking for, what you think you're looking for, and see if it's a good fit.
Yeah, I agree. Because I think most people think I'm going to hire a coach, and what they're looking for is to hire a consultant. I think that's the craw that gets.
Oh, I would agree. I think that there's, yeah. I mean, there are people who are looking to overcome mindset blocks that are also working in conjunction with a financial planner to get all of their accounting and their finances in order. The financial planner isn't necessarily going to give assignments of what you need to do to clear your mindset. A coach would, and they can work in tandem. Things like that. But it is very true. It is a matter of what exactly are you looking for, and does this person fit the bill?
So we want to continue the conversation in our Facebook group, Rebel on the Go, link in show notes. And we want to hear from you guys. Have you hired a coach or a consultant?
Yes.
And which do you prefer to invest in? Because I think it's it's just an interesting way for you as the business owner to think about, where do I want to invest my time and my money, and where do I need the most help? And is it with a mindset issue or with a goal setting issue where I just looking for accountability and I'm looking for help and guidance? Or am I looking for
someone to set up my funnel gorgeous?
Right. Am I looking for strategy, or am I looking for somebody to give me the roadmap?
Yeah.
Those are two completely different things. So until next week, guys.
Well, we will bid you an adieu. We're close to Canada.
We're very,
very close.
We're feeling
French is
very New Englandy today. Bye, guys.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a rating.
But only if you liked it. Otherwise, just keep it to yourself.
You can learn more about our upcoming masterminding opportunities on our website at serendipitousrebel.com.
And if you have topics you'd like to hear about, be sure to submit them on our website or DM us on social media.
Hey, see you next week. Bye.
Bye.